Hello, friends. Well, thank you for sticking with me through these podcasts. I am actually using a new microphone, so hopefully the sound is a lot better. We will see. Um, so, uh, this episode is pretty much like an update, a life update. Basically of what it has been going on. Some things I have not announced on the internet, so it will be interesting to see who actually is listening. That is my friends, because they will get to hear some good news and some maybe some not so good news. Maybe they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, I heard this on your podcast. That's an awesome thing." Um, so, anyways, I want to kind of start out with okay, so back in 2021, I was working for a prison, and I actually was unfortunately injured due to falling out of a chair, and it was partially my fault, partially not my fault. Basically, like when you're there at the facility, like the chairs are these rolling chairs and they are cloth, and you're sitting in them for 12 hours a day. Well, you have young kids, you have old kids, you have like old people, young people, um, and unfortunately, uh, sometimes you're left in the booth by yourself with no relief, and sometimes you just gotta go. And unfortunately, there have been accidents. Um, they do not clean the chairs like they should for people. And I just want to also preference I've been sick for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm still not 100%. I'm getting better. I recently went back to the hospital and I got some better antibiotics. So hopefully now I'm on the mend. But, anyways, the chairs are gross. I mean, you got people that don't shower sitting on those chairs. I mean, it's not that great. And anyways, so people will put trash bags over top of them and sit down on them, you know. And so we I was relieving an officer that um, was needing to go on break, and he's not that bright of a guy, not gonna lie. And for some reason, he decided to put a loose bag on top of the already trash bag that was sitting on the chair. And I have short legs, and I had brand new pants because I just had my baby, so I had to get new pants. So the pants weren't really broken in too well. So, anyways, I had to get up. I usually like slide my chair over to the what they call the chuck hole to yell out to the inmates because our speaker system wasn't that great. So I slid over my chair. I yelled out that it was about to be count time. They needed to be prepared. And so when I sat back down because I lifted my butt up to like yell into the chuckhold, and when so as I'm standing up and telling them to be prepared to go to count, um, there was or I had to like stand up and sit down. My butt slid on that loose trash bag that was sitting on the seat, and I fell backwards, and I hit my shoulder and my lower back, But when throughout the process, like my pelvic started hurting, and because I had pelvic dysfunction before I came back, and it was while I was on pregnancy, and it felt kind of better, after I had the baby. But anyways, so I was put on workman's comp. There was a bunch of complications with workman's comp. Eventually, like I was on there for probably about 2.5 years. There was 1 year at least that like I was trying to go to the doctor, get all these procedures done, and then they put me in vocational rehabilitation after they put me on MMI status. Basically, they just said I was going to be like I was. There was no cure or anything. So that guy was really nice. He understood our situation because during this workman's comp thing, I found out about my son's brain bleed, and I went out on mental health leave that had nothing to do with workman's comp. And so I went out on mental health leave and had to deal with my son, and I was still going to doctor's appointments and stuff like that. I didn't know how serious workman's comp was at the beginning, but anyways, that guy was really nice. But then back in January, he retired, and I got a different recruiter, and she is not nice. I hope karma hits her with a stick multiple times. Let's just put it that way, because she was not a nice person. Their job is to pretty much make you so miserable you want to quit workman's comp. But I stuck it out. I argued with her. I still did my job. I still did what I needed to do. Um, I did get some interviews. Like I recently got a request for an interview for a dispatch position with the state police, but that's in Virginia. And I kind of don't know if I want to go back to Virginia. So I'm gonna talk to the person that emailed me, and let them know like what's going on and everything, and that I'm just not right now. I'm sick, so I don't think I can go through with the interview right now. But maybe later we might can revisit it. We're working on a few things and everything. Even if I have to start over again, I will do that. I may wait on my 401k. I don't know, and I may have to wait. I'm not sure. After we do some thinking and stuff. But anyways, so finally, on Tuesday of last week, we were fighting with a settlement. They finally offered me a settlement, um, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. The first lawyer I ever had, he said he didn't want to work on my case because he got me to a point where he thought that I was not, he couldn't help me anymore. So he dropped me. He said that they weren't wanting to settle. So when they came up and offered me the settlement, I reached out to that lawyer because he had been kind of helping me, even without pay throughout the process. Like if I had a question, he would answer it, and he didn't have to. Like that was just, you know, um, I think that was just the kindness of his heart to at least help guide me, give me a little bit of direction. Um, so basically, when uh, he got the settlement to a point where they were like only offering $10,000. And we're like, no, we think you can do a lot better than $10,000. So because he didn't feel like they were getting anywhere, he decided to go to mediation. And we went to mediation on Tuesday. And so we went to mediation on Tuesday, and he got to a point where basically we had first offered 150,000. He said it wasn't too far off from what he would have asked for, but then he went down to 115,000. Um, and then at the mediation, we went to 100,000. Well, they didn't like that. They countered with 25,000. Then we countered with 85,000, and then they actually bumped it up to like 55,000. So we were like, okay, fine, let's try for 70,000. See if they'll go up a little bit more since they haven't actually said final offer. So we went to 70,000, and they came back and they agreed to 70,000. We thought that they were gonna have to go. We were gonna have to go back down to like 60,000, but we didn't. We didn't have to go. We didn't have to go to 60,000. We actually were able to get them to agree to 70,000. So basically, what that means is my lawyer's gonna get about 15,000, and then I'll get about 55,000, and it's pre-taxed or non-taxed or whatever. So that's $55,000 that I was awarded. I haven't got it yet. I'm still waiting on it. But prior to this, we were having some issues with FMLA with the prison. My husband, we've been sick for like 4 weeks now, and my husband took off to help me with my son because we were sick. He was sick. Carter was sick. We went to the doctor's appointment that day, and I'm never in the living room. I don't hear my husband call out or whatever. He just tells me he calls out. There is a procedure usually with calling out is a 2-hour call out window, and then you have to actually call in on your shift as well. Well, I guess they denied him his FMLA that day, and he said he had to take FMLA, and they said, okay, fine, if you take it, you're gonna have to see the major. So he took it because it's covered, you know. So anyways, they tried to write him up, give him a group for it. Well, when my husband finally told me about this, I didn't know about the group yet. I just knew it didn't sound right because they drug tested him first, and then they sent him to the major's office, and he sat down with the major and was talking to the major and his captain and everything about how about the write up and stuff, and then they said that he was going to meet with them again and get to tell his side of the story. So I did some research. I went online. I went to a support group for correctional officers in Virginia, and I found some guy that is actually a known whistleblower for the DOC. And I explained to his situation, and he didn't like the situation that I was explaining. Like, he was pissed that, you know, they're doing this to us. We're already going through a lot with our son, and then they're going to sit there and threaten us with, you know, a group. And that's just pretty decently severe, like, write-up, you know. You can get write-ups, like, you know, anything, but this is a group, and it stays on your record for a while. Anyways, so we were able to through writing this letter and this guy's advice, what he told us we should do, basically we were able to contest the write-up and scare the supervisors. And we're still planning on doing what we said we were going to do, because what they're doing is not right. They scared my husband. You don't scare my husband and make my husband nervous, like, because normally he's been very comfortable in the job. You know, they've never really had any issues with him. Like, he's called out FMLA before. They've never had any issues, but now you got this major that's involved, and he's not a good major at all, not at all. And anyways, so he basically backed down from it because they have no ground to stand on at all. And this guy said that he would help eat him up, pretty much. You know, like, they don't want to mess with him. Anyways, so we are going to go do some more things to them, because we just don't feel like what they did was right, and we don't want them to screw other people over the way that they tried to do us. So, you know, sometimes you just have to be an advocate for people through things that you go through, and hopefully we can get somewhere with this. But anyways, we we decided after some unfortunate incidences where my husband's mental health has not gone to the best, because of what's going on with our son, because they work him to death at the job. Like, he will come home at 11:30 and have to go back by like 5:30. He has to be back, and we're an hour away. So that's 2 hours of driving to and from work. And it just wasn't good for my husband. He wasn't sleeping. They were also drafting him on his days off, especially if he took off for FMLA. They would draft him immediately the next day, either later that night or he would be drafted the next day or something like that. They even tried to call him on his day off, where he called out sick and they said, "Oh, you're drafted on this day." He's like, "Dude, I'm at home sick and you're calling me to tell me I'm drafted and I'm sick." Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. So it's like this facility made up their own rules and regulations, and they could care less about the people that actually are working there and what they're going through, until something serious happens. And even then, they don't. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I saw them throw baby showers for dirty officers, and I got nothing. They threw me nothing. I didn't get a card. I didn't get a baby shower. Nothing. We got nothing. We maybe got an email from HR stating that we had the baby, but that's it. That's all we got from them. But yet there were other supervisors that would throw baby showers and everything, and it was just awful, how they treated us there. But anyways, that's beside the point. So some incidences happened with my husband, over the last year, where unfortunately he received a few speeding tickets. He did unfortunately lose his license a few times. We were able to get it back, and unfortunately, the Saturday before my mediation, we had found out the day before that there was a possibility of my son losing Medicaid. That's important, that's really stressful too. And that's important for us to keep, is because my son's disease team, because we have Medicaid, they don't bill us because they're not allowed to bill Medicaid recipients. They just eat the bill. And I'm like, okay, so we're sitting here like scared that we're about to lose Medicaid because we make too much money. Like, because at the time I'm getting reoccurring payments, and then he is also getting, his monthly checks and stuff like that, his weekly checks or whatever, bi-weekly. So we're like, what are we gonna do? Like, we have no other income, and yeah, on paper we make a lot of money, but we don't. So, um, so anyways, they wound up doing a telling us this, and then unfortunately I told my husband what was going on, because open communication. Well, my husband, he doesn't really talk to me a lot about how he feels. Like, I don't know if you have a husband that is like that, but like, he doesn't want to show his weakness a lot, and he wants to stay strong for us as much as he can. And it can get a little frustrating at times because I need him to open up to me about his feelings. Um and so we are in therapy about that too. But and he's working on it. He really is. And I applaud him for that. He is trying to open up. I mean, he was in a family that just don't talk about their problems. And they're learning that basically we are the type of family to let people know what we're going through when we can, um, so that we can get some kind of support. Um, they're very quiet people, and that's how he grew up. So opening up isn't. his strong suit, but we're learning together. But anyways, so because he opened up about this to me, and we are working on our communication, and I have seen how it stressed him out. I did not know how much money I would be getting in my mediation, but I knew that I needed my husband. And right now, like, he is a shell of himself. And that's what the DOC does to you. Like, you become a shell. You just eat, sleep, poop, go back to work. That's all you do. You have no life when you work for the DOC. And they don't pay you enough to deal with the mess. And it's not even the inmates that give you the trouble, it's the coworkers. But that's for another podcast. Confessions of a Female Correctional Officer. That's my next podcast that I'm planning on making. Anyways, um, so basically, I sat down with my husband, and we discussed it, and we came to the conclusion that, you know, we would just have to figure it out. With finding out that we might lose Carter's Medicaid, because he makes too much money. That meant that Chris needs to find a part-time job where he's not making as much money, but enough money that we can still pay our bills. Um, it is stressful, so, anyways, he wound up giving his 2-week notice on last Monday, and then, of course, Tuesday. We all know what happened on Tuesday now. Um, so, no, we're not sitting pretty for like a whole year. There are some things that we want to um, do. We want to fix our yard up like we wanted to. We wanted to take a small little family vacation if we can, if we can afford it. We are going to pay some bills off with the money. My husband said he's going to take out his 401k, and which is could be about $12,000. I think is what he said that he put in. There might be a little bit of a tax and stuff like that, and a penalty with taxes, but we just feel like it'll be worth it to take some time off and spend time with our son and get things straight with our son, and then work on something part-time. My husband still gets money from the veterans thing. He gets disability. He's at 70% currently. And so it's not like we're going to be without money. It's going to be tight for a little while, um, especially once the 55 goes away. If I don't have a job by then, but hopefully by then I will have the set where I can get paid to be Carter's caretaker. Um, we are working on that. A lot of the programs that Carter could qualify for, he can't qualify for until July 22nd, which is his birthday. So we are working on that to try and get that. So I will update y'all in July on what that goes on with that. But for the next 2 months, after my husband ends his 5, almost 6 years with the DOC, we want to work on our yard and get things straight. So for the next 2 months, we're gonna work on getting it so that my son can have a amazing third birthday. Because with his disease, all the kids have had an average of regressing around their third birthday, and I hope that that does not happen with our son. I really do. And I'm praying that this is a really amazing birthday for him, and that he can have so much fun and have a lot of kids to play with. Um, we don't have a lot of friends. So I'm hoping that the friends that we have made will show up and be there for our son, because we just don't know what this birthday is going to bring us after this. I mean, the average kid with the UBTF gene mutation, it is not the variation that we have, but with the other variation, their averages of regression are between 3 and 5 years old. So, unfortunately, Carter is a lot, like, has never talked, um, and he does eat. So I haven't seen any regression yet. I've only seen progression, and I pray to God there's always progression. I pray there's always progression, but we shall see what time brings us. So I think I am about to end our podcast for today. I just wanted to give y'all that little life update of what's going on. Um, Please reach out to me on social media. Let me know if you're still watching, still listening to my podcast. If it brings you any kind of comfort or something that you've maybe gone through, I hope that's the case. Um, so I hope that you have a great day. And this is Memorial Day weekend. And I hope that you have a good weekend. I am actually going to see if my husband will go clean the grill, so that way we can cook out on the grill later today. And I'm going to go and see about cleaning the kitchen so that I can prep said food. So, anyways, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you continue to come. I'm going to try and do a podcast at least every few days. I don't want to bombard everybody, but especially if I have some news to update with. Um, so, yeah, I hope you have a great weekend, and my thoughts are to you and your families if you're going through something similar. And I just hope that any of my words, any of my stories can make you not feel so alone in these days. Thank you so much. And once again, talk to you later. Listen later. There you go.